Kerala, right? Yeah, so that's kind of like a beautiful industry. Yeah, because they have this, yeah, very poetic. And also kind of similar to Sinhala as well. There are several, I think, Sanskrit words that they are using. Yeah. Okay, so back to Victorian from Malayalam. Okay, so the Victorian era, again, the era is given from 1837 to 1901, but that is not kind of, needed. You do not have to write all these, but better to remember the century, right? Yeah, when you write. So this is the ruling period of Queen Victoria, and Queen Victoria's period again you can see when it comes to all these periods of queens, maybe Queen Elizabeth or Queen Victoria, contrary to the popular opinion that there's this idea women cannot do proper administration or proper ruling. Despite or the contrary to that popular opinion, you can see Queen Victoria's and Queen Elizabeth's, these periods are very I would say politically, socially, culturally very rich, right? Yeah, these queens did a very good job, you can see, right? Not kind of good for the colonial countries, but again you can see again the colonial reign happened, or kind of it was organized in a very proper manner in terms of them, I would say, not in kind of our perspective. And yeah, so you can say cultural, political, technological transformations, I would say, not transformations in kind of just transformations, but again very I would say advancements happened, right? Advancements happened in Britain. So a period of profound change. British Empire was expanded, and also there was this rise of industrialization, and again shifts in social norms and values. And again there was this rich literary landscape, right? And again you can see that this literary landscape also emerged because of these several complexities and also contradictory viewpoints during the time. Writers were kind of against some of the social changes, specifically industrial revolution, but again in terms of there was this possibility for the writers to write as well, right? Yeah, produce creative stuff, that possibility was also there. And also this made me kind of this movie just came across my mind, Queen Victoria, I think that's called Victoria and Abdul. There's this movie because there was this person called Abdul, not exactly a lover of Queen Victoria. He was very young, but what happened was Queen Victoria did not have many close people for her to kind of engage with. Maybe she was this very kind of excellent ruler, but again no very close people. So then there's this idea how this person Abdul became very closer to her, just like a closer friend and a confidant. Despite their age gap, they were like very close friends. So that I think there's this movie, as far as I remember the name is Reverend, I think Victorian Abdul, yes. Again I cannot remember whether it is from the same producers of Pride and Prejudice. It just has the same vibe, kind of very colorful, yeah, something like that, yes. Again refers to this Victorian period. And then yeah, we were talking about this changes that happened during the Victorian period. So Queen Victoria's reign, or the ruling period, coincided with the Industrial Revolution. So Industrial Revolution happened during this time, leading to dramatic social and economic shifts that we were discussing from the beginning of this course, how all these things changed. And then urbanization accelerated because people moved from all these agricultural landscapes or rural settings to cities because they wanted work. Agriculture was not kind of sufficient enough for them to kind of survive. And then there was this overcrowded living conditions, that is natural, right, when people move in mass scales to the cities. And also a new working class emerged, So not the kind of earlier period, I would say there was this kind of agricultural setting and people were working hard, true. But that hard work was different from the hard work which was prevalent in the cities. They had to work very hard under new conditions. And then innovations in technology like the steam engine, telegraph, right? So because of steam engine, with the steam engine what happened was all these trains, right, steamboats, all these things came into being. So transportation changed and also communication changed with telegraphs, right? So now telegraphs are not very prominent because we have all these mobile phones and all these things, but telegraph was like a very proper kind of a communication back then. When you wanted to kind of convey something urgently, that was very convenient. And then industrial boom was there, so that means sudden change, right, sudden increase. It fostered both economic growth and social challenges. It was like one to one. So labor exploitation was also there. So I was kind of talking about this, how women and kids were forced into, I would say, unsettling working conditions, right? Not exactly proper conditions, and class disparity was there. So there was this idea of child labor, yes, it is there. And also women's rights. Women's rights in the sense women had to work hard, but then again wage laborers, when they were working as wage laborers, do you think women were paid equally? No, right? Women were not paid equally, but then they were having all this hard work, which is very unjust. And then this I would say feminist movements, they also came into being. I think still in some part of the Bollywood industry that is happening, right? Women actors are not paid, like as in heroines are not paid the same amount. I think this lady Sangeeta Viraratna, so she's not accepting movies if she's not paid equally as the male actor. She's saying that it is not out of the greed for money or something like that. I'm saying I'm doing that for the kind of equal labor, because the labor should be the same. Yeah, something like that. And then public health, and these issues regarding public health, very natural, right? When people are living in overcrowded areas, so no proper hygiene, right? No kind of proper water systems, right? All these things, yeah, no proper hygiene. And then in this backdrop of social and industrial change, the Victorian novel became a dominant literary form, right? So the social issues were addressed, moral dilemmas were addressed. You can see that in Great Expectations as well, right? All these moral dilemmas, moral ambiguities, these are there. And then these are like the notable authors: Charles Dickens, right? Oliver Twist, A Tale of Two Cities, and then again Hard Times. And Hard Times specifically question these social injustices and also the struggles of the poor. And much more than in Great Expectations reference, you can see this in Oliver Twist and Hard Times, the struggles of the poor. Because in Great Expectations, what we see is kind of an appreciation of the poor lifestyle, right? The modesty. But when it comes to Oliver Twist, you can see all these hard living conditions in the city, those are portrayed. And then and also vivid characterization. His characterization is like excellent, because not only about Pip, right? I'm talking about Estella, and even a minor character who's not very prominent like Pumblechook, right? Even his character is portrayed in a very vivid manner, you can see, right? Yeah. And also integrate plots. The plots are very much intricate, they are woven, right? In kind of a very, I would say, um, uh, when it comes to Dickensian plots, all of them have plot twists from the beginning to the end, intricately woven, right? So there is this idea of, I would say, a shifting back and forth. Even in Great Expectations, you can see this shift, right? How convict appears in the beginning and then reappears in the middle and again towards the end, right? And even Miss Havisham's character, how those are woven. And then yeah, and also his novels became both popular and influential. So what is the difference, Reverend? A book can be popular but not influential, but his books became both.
Popular just only for a moment, but it has stayed for a long time.
Yeah, so it's, yes, Reverend, it's like, that his books became popular during that time, but also it is still kind of, yeah, the power of his books, it is still influencing us even today, right? This generation, very influential, and kind of has this very great impact, right? Yeah. Okay, and then Charlotte Bronte, another one, right? Novels like Jane Eyre, it's great that we could have done it, but yeah, I don't think Jane Eyre was in your syllabus anyway. So, explored themes of gender, right? The idea of gender, class, and morality, moral values are presented. And again, in terms of gender and class, Jane Eyre, have you done Jane Eyre reference? No, right? Yeah. So, in Jane Eyre, her job is becoming a governess. So, a governess means someone who looks after and educates the children of the upper class. So, you can see this. So, that was like the only job available for a decent female belonging to the lower middle class.
They are given accommodation in their
Accommodation, yes, exactly. Given accommodation. Maybe you can watch the movie Chain Naya. I think that is available reference, right? Yeah. So likewise, so this idea is then even also in some books written by Arthur Conan Doyle, you get this idea of governance. So when the war was going on, World War, so when you wanted to kind of, let's say that you are from the opposite army, enemy army, when you want to find out the details from the house of a military officer, a high military officer, the easiest way was to be disguised as a governess, go there and settle there, right? So there was this short story written by Arthur Conan Doyle, a detective story. So this female military officer disguised herself as a kind of a governess, and then she goes there, right? So this idea of disguising was there. So she disguises, right? And then yeah, so this gender and class, that's why I brought up this idea of governess. So her strong female protagonists challenge the traditional roles of women in Victorian society. So there's this idea of personal freedom and self-respect even when it comes to Jane Eyre. She's this unusual female protagonist. And also here you can see this idea of female Bildungsroman reference, right? So Dickens was writing male Bildungsroman, right? One is Great Expectations, obviously, and Oliver Twist, right? And also another one is David Copperfield. So he was writing all these male Bildungsromans, but then Jane Austen and also I would say Charlotte Bronte, because Jane Austen is far kind of, she's belonging to the romantic period on the verge of Victorian era, so mostly belonging to the romantic period. But again, when it comes to Bronte, you can see, and even Emily Bronte, right? What is Emily Bronte's most iconic work, reference, if you remember? Charlotte Bronte's Jane Eyre, Emily Bronte's Wuthering Heights. Yeah, in Wuthering Heights again you get this female protagonist, right? So very unusual and independent female protagonists you can see, and also this idea of female Bildungsroman. And then Hardy, and also Tess of D'Urberville's, again kind of a very depressing book, and Jude the Obscure, Hardy's novel. So they portrayed harsh realities of rural life, right? And the impact of societal norms on individual lives, how the rural life can be very, I would say, depressing in a way. Because in Great Expectations, you see the positive side of rural life, right? Yeah, but again, you can see Thomas Hardy was portraying the other way around about this, these child pregnancies, right? All these ideas. And then Yes, and also there's this idea of determinism and the struggle against social conventions, going against the contemporary social values, right? And also Thomas Hardy, I don't think that you had anything written by him in your syllabus. Thomas Hardy. I think Wuthering Heights was there as one of the selected texts that could be selected, but as we selected Pride and Prejudice, yeah. Are you missing something, Rebecca? Oh, right. Maybe a ghost is there. Oh, right. The detective came and found it. Okay. Um, yeah, so where were we? About this, going against social conventions and yeah, exactly, Reverend, right? Oh, right. Everything has a consequence, right? Yeah. Mm. Again, there are all these niyamas, right? Kamma niyama and all these things. Hetu, phala, and also the bija niyama and all these things, right? Yeah. So that's why I always tell you that you can write research papers comparing and contrasting these ideas, right? Maybe when you are free after being graduated, then you will be free. Okay, right. And then, yes, and then poetry of the Victorian age, as we are going to discuss this poem, which is written in the Victorian age. Yeah, it was marked by diverse styles and themes. Several styles were there, literary styles and several themes. And also, again, this poetry were reflecting the era's complexities. Again, the one that we are going to discuss is something like that. So, poets such as Alfred Lord Tennyson, Robert Browning, and Elizabeth Barrett Browning, they explored romantic, social, and philosophical themes, right? Not just the social philosophical themes, romantic themes were also there. But unlike the romantic period, because you can see when it comes to I would say the romantic poetry like John Keats, and they were not, I would say, very apparently talking about socio-political themes, right? Keats and all these people, mostly about nature, they were indirectly approaching, right? But here you can see in Victorian period, it is like, very, I would say, apparent, right? Very obvious when it comes to it. Yes. And where were we? Yes, Robert Browning and Elizabeth Barrett Browning, right? So they have all these poets. And then Tennyson's works often grappled with the tension between faith and doubt, because Victorian period, again, the morality was there, strong moral code during Victorian period. Morality was very high. So then he was criticizing about the relationship between faith and doubt, as in, whether you can doubt the god, right? Yeah, because there were kind of, people, I would say, debating and arguing with each other, right? Whether the faith is true or not, right? Yeah, that idea. And again, Browning's dramatic monologues, there were dramatic monologues, and also talking about human psyche, right? Yeah, human kind of, mindset.
Madam, is this related to that idea of, the era at the edge of reasoning?
um, Age of reasoning was relevant also there when it comes to the verge of the romantic period. That's why they were kind of against it, right? So this is after that. Victorian era was after that. So much more than the reasoning, there was this strong moral code. So morality was very high, right? So that means being a good person. And also, again, there was this, I would say, it is very complex, because people were considered to be good if they belong to the upper class. Maybe if you have heard about this novel called Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, it is okay if you have not heard of it. Yeah, again, it is a nice book. I'm not sure whether there's a movie or not. maybe you can search whether there's a movie. It's a nice book. If there's a movie, you may watch it because it is again very gothic and also very, I would say, eerie. By the very sense of the word, it is eerie. But you can see it is about this Dr. Jekyll, who is like this good person. Is there a movie, Reverend? No, it's still being searched. Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. There's this abridged version as well. Maybe it is available in the library. You may read the book. It's such a nice book. We had it in our syllabus when we were studying at the university. No. Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. Let me... Okay, right. So there you can see Dr. Jekyll is... there's a movie, but it is done in 1931. Horror movie. I will just send it. But then again, the idea here is Dr. Jekyll is this person who is, I would say, very benevolent, this doctor. And because he's a doctor, he belongs to the upper class, obviously. And then he's expected to be this nice gentleman. And then during this period, I'm just answering your question, Reverend, right, about the reasoning and the moral codes. So there was this strong sense of morality. And like the lower class people were bad and the upper class people were good. That was the idea. And they have all these lower class valleys, right? Yeah, and all these alleys are there. And then, people were living in these very unsettling living conditions, and those people were considered bad. And here what this Dr. Jekyll is doing is he kind of comes up with a chemical. He produces a chemical. When he drinks that, he turns into someone else. That means Dr. Jekyll has these good qualities, and he becomes Mr. Hyde when he drinks that medicine. And then Mr. Hyde is like his negative replica. Right? Dr. Jekyll is this good person. Mr. Hyde is the negative replica. It's like both these people are living inside his own body. When he drinks the medicine, whenever he wants to be Dr. Jekyll, he drinks the medicine. And then when he wants to become the Mr. Hyde, again he drinks this. It's like that. Kind of, it's like, both the good and bad are living inside your body. It's like that. You cannot differentiate it. As all the good people are living in the higher class. It was against kind of, that moral idea, right? Moral dilemma. So it was kind of a backlash to that society. So there, when you watch this movie or read this book, you can see how the same person transforms into this very positive and good character, and the negative and dark character. He is kind of physically unpleasant as well. He looks like kind of almost, I would say, a demon, right? When he turns into Mr. Hyde. And then he is seen in this lower class alleys. I haven't watched the movie, Reverend, because I don't want to disturb the image that I have by reading the novel. So I read it when I was a kid, and I was very afraid of the book because it is very terrifying. Even when you read it as an adult, it can be terrifying. Because there's this, detailed descriptions how he drinks the medicine and how he transforms. And then finally, are you going to watch the movie or read the book? Because I do not want to go into detail and, break out the story. Okay, right. Then you can see there's this sad ending, how that happens, right? Yeah. So there comes a time that he becomes unable to transform at times. And then even without the medicine, he transforms. Right? So his body becomes unable to literally control it. So it's again a beautiful novel, right? When we kind of, obviously take away these horrific and terrifying parts. Yeah, it's a beautiful novel. It talks about all these moral dilemmas during that period, right? Yeah, okay. And so we were talking about that, Reverend, and we can start with the charge of the Light Brigade maybe next Friday. Yeah, we would be able to complete this. Not we would be able to, we have to complete it. and then we will try to start the drama. If not, I will seek special permission.